back. If you can even count it as being back. I don't know if anybody was here for that in the first place anyway. Probably wondering why I'm wearing a leather jacket inside, and the answer is simple. Leather jackets make people look cool. Anyway, today I have an unpopular opinion. Bleh. Anyway, today I have an unpopular opinion that I would like to send your way, because you should definitely listen to people's opinions on the internet. And, well, my opinion is that Plan 9 from Outer Space is a masterpiece, and not the best, worst movie of all time. It's just the best movie of all time. And I have a few points that I would like to share with you that will outline why I believe this, and maybe let you look at Plan 9 a little differently. We're just going to edit these parts, okay? Forgot what I was going to say now. I'm going to leave this part in right here. I'm just going to leave this whole part right here. Not the whole part, but a lot of it. Alright, so I know a lot of you guys have heard of Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you're a fan of horror movies or sci-fi films or anything like that, pretty much everyone has heard of Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's like on all those lists online of how it's the best, worst movie of all time, or it's the worst movie of all time. Sort of like The Room or Troll 2, where it's just a movie that's so bad that it's good. And I mean, I can agree to that. I can agree with that to an extent. But see, Plan 9 from Outer Space, there's a charm to it that I'd like to look into. So, you know, like I said, I've got a few points that I want to go over, and maybe I can change your mind on why Plan 9 from Outer Space is a masterpiece. Real quick. Alright, so my first point I want to make is a simple one, and I mean, maybe it's just bias of me to think this, but it is the last movie starring the legendary Bela Lugosi, this dude right here. I don't even know if you can see that. There he is. I'm going to try to leave him here without knocking him down. But anyway, like I said, it's the last movie that stars the legendary Bela Lugosi, who most people know him as, as Dracula from the Universal 1931 Dracula. And, in my opinion, Lugosi is one of the greatest horror movie actors of all time. One of the greatest actors, in my opinion, of all time. So, a lot of people don't like the fact that his last movie was considered one of the worst movies of all time. And a lot of people think it's a disgrace for, him to have gone out in Plan 9. But I disagree with that. I think that having just that little extra amount of screen time with him is a good thing. It's either we had that little bit of screen time with him, or we didn't have any at all. And just having him in that for the last few, for his last few moments of acting, I like that, and I'm cool with that, and I'm glad that it happened. It was his last movie because, unfortunately, he died during the production of it, so half of the movie isn't even him. It's another guy that they thought his forehead looked good enough.
Sounds like Kay's in trouble.
But yeah, he is in it in the beginning, and that's that's one of the best parts of the whole movie, is because he's in it, and you just get to see him keep going.
The grief of his wife's death became greater and greater agony. The home they had so long shared together became a tomb, a sweet memory of her joyous living.
Another interesting thing about that, getting off topic here, is when Tim Burton made his movie Ed Wood, Martin Landau played Bela Lugosi in the movie, and he won an Oscar for his portrayal of Bela Lugosi. So that kind of tells you something. Lugosi never won anything, any awards. He got a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame, but that's like the closest thing to an award that he ever got. So the fact that someone got an Oscar to just portray him in a movie, that kind of just goes to show you how important and incredible of an actor Bela Lugosi truly is. And sure, it's, Plan 9 isn't the greatest movie. It may not be the movie he wanted to go out on, but at least he had something to go out on. Note time. next on the list of the good things about the movie is another actor or actress. I'm sorry, actress that was included in the movie. That, you know, honestly at this point it's become an iconic character in the movie, and it's become one of the most important scenes in the movie, if not the only scene people really remember, and that's Vampira's part. She was completely silent in the movie because she didn't want to speak, because she knew that Ed Wood's writing was probably going to be awful. She's probably right. I mean, we don't know because she didn't talk, but you know, she's probably right. She probably had a good call there. But anyway, it's one of the only movies with her in it, and that's an important thing because there's not much footage left of Vampira out there. Most of it's gone. All the Vampira show is you know, most of it wasn't even recorded. It was just done live. We've got some promos for the show, like the intro. Like that, and then we have her appearances on like the Red Skelton show and other shows in the 1950s, but her show is, you know, completely gone pretty much. So there's not much footage of her left. You know, there's plenty of footage with interviews of her later in life, but as Vampira, it's some of the only actual content that you can find of her. When you think of Plan 9 from Outer Space, you think of Vampira with their arms out and and Bela Lugosi. Those are the ones you think of. Alright, so another thing that I want to talk about as to why I think Plan 9 from Outer Space is actually a great movie, aside from a great bad movie or just a bad movie, is we kind of have to admire what Ed Wood wanted to do and what he did. You know, we've all had that dream as a kid that we want to make movies or videos. I mean, look at me right now, you know? We all want to make something. We all want to be creative. We all want to just do something that we like, and Ed Wood was able to turn that into reality. And though most people might argue that it probably shouldn't have been done, he was able to do it. You know, I've heard some people say that Ed Wood's ideas were too expensive to make into movies, and it's probably true. I mean, if you think about the scale and the overall idea that Plan 9 from Outer Space was, with aliens coming to Earth to resurrect the dead, and spaceships and tanks and... shooting rockets into the sky and all this stuff. It's a big thing. It's a lot of stuff going on, and when you don't have any money to do it, it turns into Plan 9 from Outer Space. That I couldn't do it. I can barely make a regular YouTube video. I can barely talk about a bad movie and make it good. So, you know, it has such a legacy that almost every sci-fi movie or horror movie fan knows the movie. I mean, it had a whole movie based on its production that won Oscars, like I said. So it's clearly got this huge influence and this huge legacy. Such a legacy and such an influence that when people think of like 1950s sci-fi movies with aliens and stuff, they immediately think of like a hubcap on a string. And that was Ed Wood. That was Plan 9 from Outer Space. Or, you know, some say it was a model or a paper plate. But either way, when people think of those stupid strings with spaceships, that's Ed Wood. That's what you're thinking of. And everyone knows that that cliche, that, old school special effects. The cardboard gravestones. I'm sure people have, made fun of those in movies when they bump into them and the whole gravestone wiggles. Yeah, it's bad, but people remember it, and people will keep remembering it because, it holds a special place. Most movies that are just bad usually get forgotten. I mean, there are probably so many bad movies from the 1950s that it would be torture to probably sit through half of them. And, there are good ones too, but the thing is, even the good ones seem to be overshadowed by Plan 9 from Outer Space. Every just straight bad movie of the 1950s is forgotten. A lot of the good ones are forgotten. And a lot of the in-between ones are forgotten. But for some reason, somehow, Ed Wood made a movie that I can see is never going to fade into obscurity. It's never going to disappear. It's going to be, there's a B-movie fest, which is almost themed completely around Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you've ever played Destroy All Humans back on the PlayStation 2, yes, I love that game. And the movie playing on the theater in the first one is Plan 9 from Outer Space. Now, obviously we can't talk about Plan 9 from Outer Space without highlighting the bad parts. And that's what I think most movie reviews do, is they look at the worst parts and they put, a spotlight on those and say, hey, this is the whole movie. And basically Plan 9 from Outer Space, that is the whole movie. But it's so good. It's so fun to watch. Like I said before, the hubcap on the string being the spaceship. It's so clearly not a spaceship. And obviously it's a movie. Everyone knows it's not a spaceship. But it's so clearly either a hubcap or a paper plate. I've heard rumors that, like I said, it's a model kit from the 1950s. It could be, but it still looks like a hubcap. And it still looks like a paper plate. And you can still see the string on it. And at one point, when it gets shot, the fire from the ship actually climbs up the string, and you can see it. And they didn't cut it out. They were just like, hey, leave it in. That's cool. We'll just keep that there. No one will notice. Everyone noticed. Everyone noticed. And that's one of the reasons that the movie is so well remembered. Like I mentioned before, the cardboard gravestones. The whole cemetery wobbles when you bump into them. And the whole cemetery, no matter what you're doing, no matter what the characters are doing, they could barely brush up against one of them, and it would wobble. It's so stupid. But all of those things came together to make the movie. I would argue that if it was just one cardboard gravestone, or if it was just the paper plate spaceship, then it would probably be forgotten about. But all the things put together, it's like, it's hard to make a movie that campy and that cheesy on purpose. So the fact that it was made at all I think it's great. Now the worst part of the movie, in my opinion, the part that I don't think is good, like the part that I think is so bad that it's just straight bad, is the aliens. I think the aliens were a bit of a disappointment when you see people like Bela Lugosi and Vampira and that. I thought the aliens were a little uninspired, but that's fine. It's what they could do, and I understand that. But like I said, that's the only part of the movie that I truly think is like not entertaining. Is just the aliens. Everything up until then and everything around them and everything after them is so good, but the alien parts I think is the worst part.
Do we have to kill them?
Yes.
Seems such a waste.
Well, wouldn't it be better to kill a few now than, with their meddling, permit them to destroy the entire universe?
Now, to get back into the good, because, we took a little detour into the bad, I think the idea of the movie is something that could be done very well, and it could be done scary. It could be done truly horrifying. The idea of aliens coming down and resurrecting the dead to, use against the humans, that's genius to me. I don't know why that hasn't been done since then. But you'd think that this movie would be remade almost immediately. And I'm surprised that it hasn't been, but you see, I have this fear in me that if it gets remade, it's going to be remade to be cheesy again. And if they remake it, they should make it horrifying. They should make it a masterpiece in, like, horror movies. And I would love to see that, because then it would be like the perfect bookend of, like, Ed Wood's life being, the cheesy bad movies. And then, like, it would end it on an incredible horror movie. And that way you could kind of look at both versions of the movie and say, hey, this was someone's good idea in the 1950s, and this is the new one that is done right. And I think it's important to look at it. I think it's important to look at it I can't. It looks good. It looks good. I mean, you may. Oh, it blends into the wall, so it's just like a white. I can't see it. Lower it. See, this is what he was doing. We can barely even do it right, but that doesn't. But like I was saying, I think if they remake the movie, they should make it good. That was just a long, convoluted way of me saying, make the movie good. Anyway, watch it, check it out. Let me know how you feel about it, and let me know if you would like to see a good, scary remake, and let me know how bad those aliens looked. Anyway, I guess that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I'm back. I will hopefully be making more videos, even though nobody watched the last, I don't even know how many I made. That's how long ago it was. That's how little I cared about it. 4 people. Hopefully more will watch this one. That'd be really cool. Watch this. If you're watching this, watch this video. Thanks. You did a great job. But anyway, like I said, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about my opinions. If you disagree with them, I don't care, because your opinion doesn't matter, just like mine doesn't. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys next time.